Joining me today is former teammate of mine. Excuse me, shit. His former teammate of mine. Some call him a legend. You can really call him by his first name without using his last name in it. Ryan Cline. Ryan,
That's very true. It's funny you bring that up. People don't say, they either call me Cline or they have to put the Ryan Cline. They have to put the Cline in at the end. I don't know why it is, but that's always how it's been.
I don't think I've ever heard someone call you just Ryan.
I know.
When people are referring to you, based off what you did at Purdue or whether it was Carmel, I mean, it was Ryan Cline. No
Yeah,
matter.
yeah. No. It's actually funny. Like, I even when I was at Carmel, that's exactly how it was. But I could really tell in college because
Really?
it was never Ryan. It was always Ryan Cline, because Painter either called me Cline or Ryan Cline, always. It was never Ryan. No assistant ever called me Ryan. It was always Cline or Ryan Cline. And even like the announcers, they would never just say Ryan. They would always say Ryan Cline. So that's something I noticed a little more as I was playing and getting older.
Is that why do you think that is? I mean, is that just something everyone has an agreement on? I mean, what's up with that?
That's actually so. I think Kline's just kind of easier to say, and I think some people would agree.
Yeah.
It kind of came down from my brother and my dad. So my brother and my dad both got called Cline. They were never called by their first names ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like a mutual world agreement that it was never going to be Ryan. It was always going to be Cline or Ryan Cline, which was fine. I don't give a shit.
I mean, it doesn't matter either way. I mean, that was catchier too, especially when you drop 27 in a tournament game.
And yeah.
Straight threes, and it's Ryan Cline. It probably feels good when they say your whole name like that.
Yeah. It's something I've gotten used to at this point. It doesn't make a difference to me.
All right, let's talk Purdue. All right, before we get into your teams and how successful they were, people listening right now, we talked about IU the other day, and whatever, they stink, but Purdue's got the most Big Ten championships for a reason. And Matt Painter's a fantastic coach. Right before we started this, we were talking about how great of a coach he is.
Mm-hmm.
This team is very young, though. I mean, I think they're probably going to make the tournament. They're ranked right now. It's pretty fair to say they're going to make the tournament. But they're very young. Do you think that this young team can make a true far run in the tournament this year?
I think they have all the pieces to do that. At the beginning of the season, I did not have high hopes for this team.
Really?
And it all comes just because of the experience factor. That was the only thing that I was telling myself, is that these guys aren't going to be good because they don't have a lot of experience like our former teams did. So seeing these young guys grow, and during COVID, there's nothing to do besides hoop and play ball and work on your game. So that's something that probably works in their favor, being so young. And their group, because of COVID again, that they're always going to be together. And the teams at Purdue that I won with were always the closest with each other off the court. Not quite, not as much, obviously on the court, but off the court, they would always be talking and hanging out. So that's something that I see out of these young guys. I think they're going to do something special either this year, obviously, and then for the next 3-4 years to come.
This team, they do have a lot of young guys, but all those young guys have won, I'm pretty sure, freshman, player of the week in the Big Ten multiple times. Yeah. They have like 3 or 4 guys that have done it. Do you think that the upper class there, because I know Sasha's there, do you think that those guys are kind of the ones leading the way a little bit? Because like you said, this team is young, not very experienced. I mean, do you think that those older guys are kind of leading the way over there?
Yeah, in a certain aspect, obviously, having Sasha and Eric and Travion, guys that have been through it. Travion's just emerged as a star in the Big Ten. I think he should be all Big Ten in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I think guys like Sasha and Eric are obviously setting the standard. But these freshmen have just they get it so quickly. And normally, like when I came in as a freshman, I didn't understand that I was going to come in and come from being, second in Mr. Basketball running behind Caleb Swanigan, who was my teammate. I went from being a star in high school to being completely average again, like completely average. And that's something that I think that these freshmen have just jumped over that hurdle is they want to play and they want to win and they want to win now. And that's kind of the mindset that I see from them defensively, them moving the ball and them just buying into to what Painter wants them to do. And that's all you have to do in order to win is just listen to the guy. He's the best coach in the country. Just listen to him and work on your game outside of practice. You're going to be just fine. And that's exactly what these young guys have been doing.
Is there is there a reason to believe that this team is like, I mean, really poised? I mean, because we watched them play against these teams. I think I watched them play against Michigan State the other day, and you talk about the way that Purdue plays. You know, the best coach in the country, this and that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what is the style of play that Purdue brings? What is it? What's the style that Painter brings to these kids?
So the and I'll just give you like a couple points. So he always wants a couple paint touches. If not, you need to get at least one paint touch,
Mm-hmm.
um, a a possession. Now, if you have a wide open three, take it. But in the Michigan State game, we started off I think over 7 from 3. So if the ball's not going in, get the ball inside. That's what those big men. That's what Travion's going to do. He's going to get you a bucket. Or I mean, the guy can pass like I have never seen before
Mm-hmm.
from a big guy. He has long arms and big hands, and I've also never seen a big guy have such incredible touch around the rim. And at like 12 feet, he he shot this turnaround with like his off shoulder going into the middle, and I was like, dude, what the are you doing? Like that's the worst shot. And it hits the front of the rim, hits the back of the rim, hits the backboard and goes in. I'm like, dude, what do I know? Like if you're making stuff like that, you know, do your thing. But just the aspects that Painter wants to do. He always wants to get the ball reversed. He always wants it to have it at least on both sides of the court every possession, and he thinks that's something that that's going to help us win. And then push and transition when we have opportunities, and that's something that I've seen more out of Eric. And when Eric doesn't push the ball and assert himself, Painter's taking him out early, and that's something that I've noticed a little more. We just need guys, and from what I've seen, you know, it's been working. But guys are passing up on the first decent shot and getting it around, you know, 10, 15, 20 seconds into the shot clock, and they're getting a better shot than the second or third look. And that's something you don't see out of freshmen. You know, they want to be selfish, but, you know, you have guys like Travion, like Eric, who have been through it and know Painter's coaching style, and they're going to do whatever the guy, you know, asks them to do. And then at the end of the day, all they have to do is do their job, and they'll have a chance to win the game.
You know, it sounds like that you really enjoyed your time at Purdue, obviously, but it really sounds like that you really know the ins and outs of what it takes, I guess, to be the Boilermaker with Painter.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still in contact with them at all? Are you keeping in touch with any of the players at all?
Well, with COVID going on, I know it's tough for everybody, including me with my work, you know. But this is kind of going to be a year that I'm just gonna like last year. I was kind of like hounding them. I was like, dude, give me tickets. Like I want to be there, you know. He's like, which like they're always okay with, and they always want me to come back and you know interact with them because we have such a good relationship still.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
COVID.
but COVID. So they're finally letting fans back in to Mackey. So I'm trying to find. I think they have a game on like a Tuesday night, which I probably couldn't go to. But I'm trying to find one more game that I can go to before the end of the regular season or the end of Big Ten season, whatever you want to call it. But I do keep in contact with Grady and PJ, who are their graduate assistants now.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of just, you know, shoot the shit with them, just kind of talk basketball and talk the team and what we have to do to be better, how we played that game, you know, stuff like that. So, but it's just COVID, man. Like you said, it sucks, but it's just kind of how it is. If they end up making the tournament and they come to Indianapolis, you're damn straight. I'll find a way to come watch the game in Indy for sure.
Is it? I mean, as a guy watching from the side now, used to play watching from the side, COVID season. What are your thoughts on the COVID season? I mean, I can't imagine playing a game in Mackey Arena against a top 10 ranked team and it being dead fucking silent.
No, it sucked. I mean, that would just be horrible. There was a play in the Michigan State game. Jaden had made a good offensive play, came back, blocked this dude's shot. They ran it out in transition, kicks it up to Eric, and I'm like, dude, that Mackey would have gone bananas, like just absolutely berserk. It's so sad, especially for the guys last year that were seniors, and I don't know how the rules worked with like them having another season or whatever, or another year to play. But it just sucks, man. It's not the same without fans. Obviously being able to have your friends and family there now is cooler, but it's not the same. It's just not.
You feel bad for the freshmen that haven't gotten to experience that atmosphere yet?
In a way, yes, but it kind of goes back to what I said earlier. I actually kind of wish as a freshman that, I obviously I don't say I wish, but there are certain aspects that I look at with COVID, and again, like there's nothing to do. Like all you're gonna do is hang out with your teammates and work on your game, and that's something that, looking back for me, I wish I would have done more. My early years, and it's not saying that I wasn't doing it. It's that I wasn't doing it till I was exhausted, till I was dead tired. I was never going, after games and being like, I just had 8 points as a freshman. I had a good game. I had 3 assists, no turnovers, a couple of rebounds. Like I'm thinking about like, dude, like let's go out and like, hang out like with some buddies. Like what's going on? I'm not going back out on the court like these guys are and shooting for an hour. Like that's something that I wish that I would have done, and I would have had that mindset, and it kind of allows these kids to do it because of COVID, because there's literally nothing else to do.
All right, let's ride with this for a second. All right, let's fast forward, let's go back in time. All right, it's our first year at Purdue. Well, your first year, and we're coming out of Indiana or Carmel, excuse me, and second in Mr. Basketball. We're the shit. We're better than everyone. So be it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right. You come in your freshman year. What was it like? What was the first practice like? What were you expecting? What happened? I mean, talk about your first couple practices with Purdue.
So I got a great story. So this was a like big, just like kick to my ego's balls, right? So yeah. I think it's like the first practice that Biggie gets back from Team USA. Okay. And like this is the first practice we have with him. So we're like all excited, like we all have like a little extra energy, and we're doing this drill. It's like a 4-on-4 shell drill, and like somehow I get switched on Biggie, right? So like, there's a saying that Paint used to say, there's a mouse trying to fuck an elephant down there in the post. So like, and it's true. Like I need help. There's no shot I'm stopping this guy. Right. I mean, he's 6'9". He came in at 275. He's a force. So someone shot a 3, and I tried to box him out. Obviously didn't happen. He gets the rebound. He dunks it right on my face. And he didn't look at me, which was like even more degrading. He goes, he like was running back, and he said, he's a fucking baby. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like, what am I supposed to say back to that? Like, I'm just going to jog back and like sit in the corner and just think about what just happened. Like, dude, it was a big kick in the ass from that point on, because I'm like, dude, these guys are bigger. They're stronger. They're faster, quicker. I'm probably just as smart as them, but man, I got some stuff to work out before I want to see the court.
It's funny you mentioned Caleb, because the first time that I really got to feel Carmel basketball, I felt like, was when we were in, I think it was either regional final or semi-state.
Regional final, never forget it.
and we were playing Homestead.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the first game that I dressed in that tournament.
Yeah.
And Trent Richardson's at the tip with Caleb. I don't think anyone on our roster thought Trent was winning the jump ball.
No.
And we all know the first play is going to Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb on the block right by the bench. I think I'm sitting next to Jacob Abrams. You know how Jacob is. He's getting hyped.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I love him.
And Caleb gets on the block and goes, "Give me the fucking ball." And I'm sitting there. I'm like, "Oh shit, Yost, do you have a ball on the bench? You know, we need to find this guy a ball."
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like playing with him though? Because obviously playing against him is a completely different beast.
He's such a competitor when and even off the court, he just I never saw someone in my however he was there for 2 years. I never seen someone work harder in my life than he was, just to keep up his body and to work on his game. He's just putting in so many hours. Whether that's he's using all his resources with the trainers and the assistant coaches and the managers. I mean, he's using everyone to make himself so much better, and that's why I respected him so much. Is because he would talk shit, but man, he would back it up. He would work super hard, and he was just so dominant because once he was able to shoot the three ball, and we had Isaac Haas in there. I mean, that front court is ridiculous. I mean, no one was stopping them 2-on-2. He was just so good, and he came in great, and he just got better and better, which I didn't think was possible.
You talk about Caleb, the way he works. I feel the same way about Carson, Dakota. I feel like those two had to have worked their ass off to be shooting like that, especially you too. Yeah. What was it like, sharing the backcourt with those guys, and talk about that team a little bit?
Yeah. So, and like I said, but my freshman year, I kind of came in. I thought I was hot shot, whatever. My junior and senior year, I finally clicked. Like, if you're gonna my junior year, I wasn't playing as much as I was my freshman sophomore year because Dakota was taking over, and Dakota was playing good. He was shooting well, and Dakota and Carson always put in the time off the court, and they made sure to always include me in whatever, and obviously I appreciated that, and I was getting my own work in, but we would stay for 30 minutes, and I remember Coach Lutz my senior year, he would always have us shooting or doing like one-on-one after practice, and those practices are 3 hours. Like we're exhausted after, and just seeing those guys and how bad they wanted to be good personally, but I could tell that because they're working so hard on their game, I mean, it's obviously going to translate to the actual games itself. And that's something that I learned myself my last 2 years, and I made sure to implement that in anything that I do now. Is literally, if you practice anything, no matter what it is, and if you put in the time, it's going to translate somehow, some way when the lights are on.
It always seems that like Purdue is always like a grinded out team, because I remember in high school we always came to Purdue playing those games in whatever court you guys have. You guys have like 25 of them. And you guys are always putting in work. I mean, whether it's the weight room, getting shots up. I mean, is that something that Painter talks about, like from day one, that you become a Boilermaker? Or is that just something that players just kind of hop on and say, if we want to be good, this is what we have to do?
So it was my junior year going into my senior year of high school, and I go on my recruiting visit to Purdue. And I had a couple looks, I had like Minnesota, IU. I had like an offer from Belmont, who I was very interested in at the time, and some smaller schools. But I sat down with Painter and all the assistant coaches and my parents in the conference room, and Painter just tells me straight up. He says, "You're not going to play if you don't work hard. You're not going to play if you don't work hard. Right when you come in, we want smart guys that are going to take care of the ball and play some defense." And it was great because that's exactly what Carmel was.
Right.
as long as you played good defense at Carmel and you set screens for me or Keegan my senior year, then you were going to play like that. That's how it was. So the hard work, and I kind of came in with a chip on my shoulder because people are talking about like, oh, this Carmel kid, he's not tough. No, I personally thought I was the toughest guy on the court always when I stepped on the court.
Right.
So with Painter, he instilled in us that as long as we did our job and did what he told us to do, and just got it out of our head that we were superstars and we would just be able to do everything one-on-one. He completely got that out of our head and had us buy into that system. Now it's a little different when you have Carson Edwards on your team. He can. There are times where when he gets 4 or 5 in a row, get the hell out of the way. You know what I mean? But he just has such a good system, and it all starts with defense, man. His defensive philosophy is second to none. We worked on it, all the time. We have like offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators as assistant coaches. And that's just stuff that like they would take us on the side, for 30 minutes in practice and just work on that kind of stuff. So it's really all about what Painter, his philosophy and how he wanted his team run.
Let's talk about the moment that you shined extremely hard. Okay, I think you guys were in the Sweet 16. Was it your senior year?
Mm-hmm.
You're playing like 34 minutes a game. I think it was your senior year. First of all, why did you play so many minutes? Obviously, you love the game. I love to play. I don't think I would have loved to play 34 minutes because I'd be exhausted.
Yeah.
Was that exhausting? I mean, you talk about the defense that you have to play at Purdue, and 34 minutes of that is pretty tough.
Oh, dude, I didn't give a shit. If I got taken off, I'd be so mad. Oh, I wanted to play all 40 minutes all the time. And again, it comes from it's kind of a praise to Coach Hetty. I mean, I never came off the court at Carmel ever. Like my sophomore year, I would play, however many minutes, like 90% of the game at least. I probably even played 100% if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't as much as I was tired. And I was always good at like the long distance around like the conditioning stuff. That was never really a problem for me. But yeah, it would frustrate me when he took me off the court. But obviously he was doing it for a reason. And it was funny. This is kind of how he did it. If there was a 2 guard and a 3 guard, but both wings obviously. And if one guy was started off and he hit 2 shots, 5 minutes into the game, the other guy's coming out and the guy on the bench is coming in. The guy on the bench, misses a shot or misses 2 shots that just came in, he's going to come out a little earlier than he would. That's just kind of how it was. And that's how Painter saw it, is like, if a guy got hot, the next play is going to be ran for you. Like if you just hit a 3, the next play is either going to be ran for you or you're going to be a decoy. Like that's why he's so smart. And that's why, like, you'll see him like call these timeouts and he'll run these out of bounds plays. And you're like, but before they even blow the whistle, we're scoring. That's just how it is.
Yeah. You talk about getting hot. All right. What I was going to say is that against Tennessee, you got hot. You got extremely hot. I think you scored all the points in the last 7 minutes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into, how great that was, obviously, what did it feel like? Obviously not COVID times. So the place was jumping. You guys were down. You guys were down most of the game. Yeah.
So we were actually up. I think we were up. Oh my God. This happened.
Big at the half or something like that?
We were up like 14 with like 16 minutes left. And they just went on this run. And that's what basketball is, man. It's a game of runs, and just being able to persevere through those. I mean, it's tough, but yeah, man, that was an incredible experience. Something I'll never forget. I've actually only watched the game once. I've watched a couple of highlights, but it's pretty cool. I don't really like watching myself. I don't know. I'm not like super into it.
I get that. Like, I hate watching myself. Right now, I don't like looking at myself. But
yeah.
if I scored 27 points in a tourney game.
Hey, I never said I didn't watch the highlights a couple times. I mean, I watched the highlights. I like hearing Chris Webber, talk me up a little bit. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
How does that feel? Chris Webber talked you up.
No, it was. I mean, it was an incredible experience, and just having. I had my parents there, my brothers, my sisters, my girlfriend was there. I mean, it was an incredible experience. I mean, my nieces were there. So the coolest part, really, and I mean, obviously in the moment was great, but like I'm not thinking about anything. I don't really like remember like what I was thinking at all during the game. Like you kind of just like black out and just like let your instincts take over. But the most incredible part, in my opinion, was going back to the hotel and seeing everyone so happy for me and my support system. So that was probably the most special thing about it.
I think it was after that game. I always see you posting about those nieces, and there was a video on Twitter after the game. I think you were on FaceTime with them or something like that.
Yeah, they actually like got interviewed for like WTHR, and they thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like they were so pumped, and they were like calling me like, "Thanks for doing it." I'm like, "I didn't do anything." Like, you guys, I mean, you guys are the cute faces, right?
Right. It's kind of weird too that in that game you go for 27, and then what? A couple of days later, Carson goes for 42 or
40
something.
something. It was nuts.
It's really just anyone can shine, and when it happens, it's probably amazing to watch.
That's why March Madness is so incredible. It's because I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. Now this year, I think it might be a little different without the fans because Gonzaga and Baylor are on such a different level, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Ohio State, those three, Ohio State, Michigan, and Illinois can all make a deep run, but man, that Gonzaga and Baylor team are on a different tier, I think, than anybody else.
Well, before we wrap this up, then let's talk about that because I'm with you. I think Baylor's stacked with NBA talent. I think you go from Butler to Mitchell. I mean, it's stacked, and then obviously Gonzaga, you got Timmy, Kilprit, Suggs. Great talent.
Mm-hmm.
Are those the two teams to beat right now? I mean, is there anyone else that we're even remotely worried about?
And it's so tough with the Big Ten because they're so good. If Gonzaga was in the Big Ten, I think they would have 3 losses already. I mean, it's such a tough league, and I think at least 8 teams should get in. At least 8 teams from the Big Ten should get in, including like Maryland and IU. I think they should both be in, just because the league is so hard. But I've watched Clemson. I've watched Gonzaga like twice, and their offense and like their pace of play and their talent level is just incredible. I mean, they're like you said, Kilpert, Timmy, and Suggs are just NBA guys who are going to be great at the next level. And Baylor's defense is incredible. I mean, it's something that like scales back to like Carmel high school defense, but like translate that to the college level. Like they're playing great pack line. They're always there to help their guy if he gets beat. They got shot blockers at the rim. They got athletes. So it's, man, I don't know if I see anyone beating either of those teams.
It's going to be a good year. It's going to be fun. Duke stinks. Kentucky stinks.
I love it.
All the big schools stink.
I know. And that's something that I think is awesome is that obviously people are watching. There's nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. And you're not watching UNC and Duke, shine. It's other teams taking the spotlight this year. And, people have to watch. Like there's nothing else to do. And it's going to be entertaining. And I'm just praying that they have at least like 20% capacity at these March Madness games this year.
All right, before we wrap it up here, first of all, thank you for hopping on. Great talk. It was great to talk some Purdue basketball. It stinks talking about IU basketball so much because like they stink. So
no, I have nothing against I have nothing against IU. I think they're a good program. Yeah, I think Archie is a good guy, and no matter what, because of IU and what it is, they're always going to get recruits. Mm-hmm. I just think they could be a little more deadly offensively with the talent they got.
We're going to close it out with a couple quick fire questions. I wrote some questions down on paper, and it's titled "Questions for Ryan Cline." What are your top 3 favorite moments at Purdue?
Um, I mean, the Tennessee game was number one. I mean, it was awesome. An incredible moment. I know it's a little selfish, but
No.
um,
Shit.
it was very cool. The second moment would probably be winning a Big 10 title against IU at Purdue. That's
I bet
that's
that felt incredible.
Yeah, and I don't think it's ever happened before. Us having the opportunity to win a Big 10 regular season title, playing at home against IU. So I think that was the first time that had happened. So that was obviously a very, very special moment. We had confetti going everywhere, and it was a big party after. It was a lot of fun. And then I would say the third best moment was us getting a win over Iowa State in the Sweet 16. No, sorry, was that the Sweet 16? Yeah, it was a Sweet 16. We played a very good Iowa State team who has Monte Morris, who's playing for the Nuggets right now. They had this bigger guy who was a freak, who's playing on OKC right now. I don't exactly remember his name, but that was my sophomore year, and I was playing a lot, and they actually had me in at the end of the game, and we're up like 2 points, and a guy on their team gets a steal, and I'm the only one back, and I'm jogging back like I'm so screwed. There's no way I'm stopping this guy.
Right.
And I think it was PJ ended up coming down and helping me, and he crossed over, and I swear to God, I've never picked someone's pocket in my life, not one time. And somehow I got like a fingertip on the ball, and the dude loses the ball, and we ended up winning the game. So it was just like little things like that I look back on, and guys today that just want to be role players, younger guys, just do like little things that's going to help your team win. That's all you got to do, and you'll stay on the floor.
What are your 2 favorite things from Carmel outside of the state championship?
That 3-point contest is pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
It was lucky. I mean, how does it get thrown to Carmel High School? I mean, it was obviously a really cool experience. I still keep in touch with like Donovan Mitchell, who I was throwing alley oops to. So I mean, that's pretty cool. He's a star in the NBA. That was probably number one. Outside of those, dude, it was just fun hanging out with everyone that like you kind of grew up with. It's something that you're representing the city that you grew up, and I know people don't live in that specific city their whole lives, but it really was great for me to kind of reminisce and having done that at Carmel. It was just special. All the stuff that we did, it was special.
It's good too that Carmel. It's like you're with those guys when like from
Yeah.
grade to senior year. I mean, it's.
I mean, I was playing against Preston Flamian, ever since I was in fifth grade, and
Right.
and the guy was, the best dude, nicest guy, and he just still stayed the same amount of weird, all growing up. I mean, I love the guy. He's awesome.
Right.
Just things like that, man. Those relationships, you take a long way.
Who are 2, maybe 3 people that you could maybe help me out here, get on the podcast maybe once or twice?
Um, I couldn't get Donovan Mitchell on here. Don't ask that.
I'm not gonna lie. You said that you kept in touch, and I immediately was gonna ask.
I actually responded to his story yesterday, and it was like a sweet picture he had posted, and we were kind of shooting the shit after that. But
I'm not gonna ask about him. I knew that was kind of shooting for the stars type thing.
yeah. Man, that's something I might have to get back to you and let you know. I mean, it would probably be like mostly Purdue guys. I mean, I'm sure you're cool with that. Ooh, you know what? You know who I'm gonna get on here is actually he's not doing anything. He's not playing right now. He's being a wuss. Joey Brunk. I'll get Joey Brunk on here for you.
I'm pretty sure I bumped into him one time at like LA Fitness before COVID. He's a good
Dude,
guy.
he's the best guy ever. I mean, just someone you always want to be around, want to be his friend for a long time. We keep in touch. We used to work out in high school together at St. Vincent's
Mhm.
with a guy named Greg Moore. He's the best, but he's just the guy who has a great personality, and you always want to be around him.
My senior year, I think, I was shooting after practice or something, and he came in and was just shooting. Like, it wasn't really going that
Yeah,
hard.
he just probably showed up. So we worked out right off or right in like Clay Terrace, so that like little St. Vincent area. So I'm sure he was, just coming from a workout and shooting over there.
Mhm.
And he also went to Butler. That's pretty close to Carmel.
Yeah, I mean, it was good to see him. I don't know him at all. Like, I don't think he was in school when I was. He's older, but
Yeah, yeah, and he's got a younger brother. I think who was probably in your grade. He went to no, maybe he was a little younger because he was a grade younger than me, and you were a freshman when I was a senior.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, you were squirmy little fucker, dude.
What you mean by squirmy? But
You
describe
you,
that.
you were just like fast and can like like kind of like get on it.
I
You,
tried.
you were quick like that. And dude, you love showing off those little no look passes. Hetty did not like that at all.
He hated when I jumped in the air and passed out.
Yes, yes. You always got to play off 2 feet, dude. He would scream at your ass.
What's funny is that the first time I really got like brought up to varsity and started practicing with you guys,
Yeah,
I started running plays with like you, like the starting five and like two other dudes. I don't know who it was.
yeah.
I had no clue.
No, I actually remember that.
Really.
It's funny. Like you came on and you were just like you didn't know what to do, but no one would know what to do in that situation.
I had no idea what I was doing.
I mean, like when I was a freshman playing on JV, dude, I was so scared of those guys on varsity. Are you kidding me?
Oh
I mean, I was like 5'7", like 130 pounds. I had Sean Heffern
yeah. Yeah.
like setting screens on me. That dude ended up playing football at IU. Like, you kidding me?
And as a freshman, I wasn't guarding you as much as I could have because we were all picking on. Well, I mean, I was a freshman, but you guys were all picking on Dom a lot, so you made him.
Yeah, Dom was always guarding me.
I always wanted to smoke with you every single practice. Like,
Dude,
wanted to guard you. I
no,
guarded full 94 feet and everything.
yeah, and Dom would always try to like, talk some stuff or whatever, and I was just like, dude, that's not gonna keep happening. Like, I cannot let this continue.
It's funny. The first practice that first practice I had, I was running some plays. Like, he said ISO 1. I was like, all right, come off the screen, hit
Mhm.
run on 3, bullshit, hit it,
Yep.
whatever. ISO 2, you get a double, come up, shoot it. He goes, now, for whatever reason, I will never forget. This is my favorite Scott moment of my life. He goes, now, when you don't know what you're doing, you pick up the dribble, hold the ball, and you call for Ryan Cline. Don't do anything.
He said that to you?
He was dead ass too. I started laughing a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, I was like, he was like, call for him. I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry, I will. But that was probably my favorite moment with Scott was he literally
Dude,
he was like, find Ryan Cline. I was like,
yeah, and I owe a lot of my success to him. He's an incredible coach. I mean, awesome coach, and an even better person now that I've gotten to know him. My parents are friends with him and his wife. But I will never forget. It was the day after a loss. I think it was our only loss of the regular. I think it was against like Cathedral.
mm-hmm.
And we had to come in on a Saturday morning, and he was grilling us before practice. He said, and I said this to you earlier, he said, if you don't screen for Ryan or Keegan, you will not play. I was like, Coach, I love you. I will take every shot. Sounds great to me.
How before we go, how's that feel when your coach? It probably doesn't happen as much as Purdue because you had all those goons around you. At Carmel, you're the dude. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was you. And yeah, sure, Keegan was the second guy, but I mean, like, it was really you. How was it being just like the guy and really nothing but the guy?
No, and that's like really all of what any sport is confidence, and that's something that Hetty gave to me. And he's like, dude, if you're open, like if you think you can take this guy, don't worry about the play. Just do your thing. I was like, really? Like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. Like, are you joking?
I really think you're the
Like,
one person he really gave the green light to fully.
yeah, and I was like, dude, don't say anything more. I got you. Like, I will go do whatever I think is best. Like, that sounds good. If you think I'm smart enough, great. And I was listening to Robert Ory talk today on a podcast, and he said, in any sport, it's all about confidence. And once you see that first shot go in or not, if your coach believes in you and he shows you that he believes in you, and you know that, like, if you mess up, you're not gonna, like, obviously, like, you might get a little slap on the wrist, but like, you're still the guy. And I felt like that at Carmel.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't care if I missed 10 in a row. The next one was going up and it was going in. It didn't matter.
That must have been just a ton of fun.
No, it was cool. It was nice because I didn't get it at Purdue. I shouldn't say that. My senior year, I had it at Purdue. I had the green light. If we were, in transition and I had a 25 footer and the guy was at 20 feet, I could pull it if I wanted to. I mean, that's just the confidence that you have to earn.
Yeah.
And trust that you have to earn from the guy at the top, and that's Scott Hetty and Matt Painter.
It's crazy, bro. It was great to talk to you today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I know we haven't talked, personally for a long time, so it was good to catch up.
Definitely would love to have you on again. I don't support IU any more than I do Purdue, or I don't support Purdue any more than I do IU. I'm just the state of the Indiana fan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm the same way. Like I said, I'm always, watching IU or Purdue. I'm always watching Butler when they're on too. So I don't really care about Notre Dame, to be honest. We'll keep that kind of between ourselves.
No one really does.
And there's nothing against them. It's just it's funny. I actually, before we get off, my dream school was Butler. I always wanted to go to Butler. Always wanted to go to Butler.
Why is that?
Because I grew up going to all those Butler basketball camps, and like Eric Fromm was there, who I'm now competing with in work, and then like Gordon Hayward, and there was another guy that was like a transfer that was from like Arkansas that like I saw a lot of myself in him. I think his name was Ryan Clark, I believe was his name. Mm-hmm. And it was just something I thought was great. And then Sean McDermott ended up taking my scholarship, because they were going to offer me, and then Sean McDermott accepted the offer. I think they like told him, they're going to offer me whatever. And that was his dream school too. So I was like, oh, well, like, whatever, something else will come. And then Purdue was my next big one. And then I was kind of talking to my parents, and I was like, why would I want to go anywhere else? Like, Coach Painter's the man. Like, there's no other reason why I should, hold out and wait. So I ended up having some other interests, but never got any like big time other offers. So that's how I ended up at Purdue.
Now look, you're the greatest.
Dude, I'm repping it for the rest of my life, and I couldn't be happier with my choice.
Boiler up for life.
No question.
Appreciate you hopping on, Ryan. We'll do this again. Have a good one.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Yeah, dream girl, dreaming, I be dreaming. Missing all the days you got me fiending. I said I love you, babe, you know I mean it. Hey, yeah, dream girl, I be dreaming.